These pillowy, soft glazed donuts are going to melt in your mouth. Goodbye, coffee shop donuts. Hello to making donuts at home. Hi, and you're watching Plating It with Wendy, where I share with you recipes which impress with ease. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, share, and comment. And if you enjoy trying out recipes that turn out right every time, then go ahead, press that subscribe button. And while you're at it, if you hit the bell icon, you'll be the first one to get notified every time I upload a new video. Now, let's get started. For this recipe, I measured out 4 cups of all-purpose flour and I've just taken out 3 tablespoons. We want a nice soft dough, so we're going to use these 3 tablespoons to adjust the consistency of the dough. And into that, we're going to toss 1/3 cup of sugar. And to get those lovely soft pillowy donuts, we're going to add 2.5 teaspoons of instant dry yeast. And now we're going to give this a good whisk so that the yeast and the sugar gets well distributed in the flour. We're going to be using our stand mixer to knead the dough, so let's toss this into the bowl of the stand mixer. You could even knead the dough by hand. Now to give the dough a nice rich flavor, we're going to go in with 2 large eggs which are at room temperature. Let's give it a whisk so that we break up the eggs. For this recipe, it's nice to have all your ingredients at room temperature. And to that, we're going to add 1 cup of milk and 1 teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of a pure vanilla extract. Now whisk, whisk, whisk and bring it all together. We're going to make a well in the center of the dry ingredients. And now we're going to pour in the wet ingredients. We're first going to use our paddle attachment to bring the dough together, and then we'll switch on to our dough hook. We're going to start on a very low speed because we don't want the all-purpose flour flying up into the air. This is looking like a good time to move on to our dough hook. You just take this one out and scrape off all the dough from it. And now we're going to put on the dough hook. Now once again, on the medium-low speed, we're just going to knead this for about 2 to 3 minutes. Our dough is beginning to look really good. Now we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, which is at room temperature, and that's going to give the dough a lovely rich texture. And now on a medium speed, we're going to knead the dough for another 4 to 5 minutes till we get a nice soft dough. And look at that, we have a lovely soft dough and it's just perfect. Let's take our dough out onto a clean work surface. And this is when you know that you've got a really nice dough, is when you stretch it and you get a window pane look, which means that you can actually see through the dough. Now without dusting any flour on our work surface, we're just going to tuck the dough underneath and keep moving it around till we get a nice round ball. This is going to help to develop the gluten strands in the dough. It's roll and tuck, roll and tuck. And now that looks ready to rise. Just going to apply a little oil on the bowl all around. And we're going to place the dough in this bowl for it to rise. You could even put it back into the bowl of the stand mixer, but I want to show you the rise, so I'm using a glass bowl. We're just going to lift this up and place it in the bowl. And I'm just going to brush a little bit of oil on the top so that the dough does not dry up. When you oil the bowl before putting the dough in, then when you want to take the dough out, it slips out easily. It doesn't stick to the bowl. Now we're going to cover this with a plastic wrap. And we're going to keep this in a warm place to rise till the dough increases to double its size. Our dough has risen so well after proofing for 1.5 hours. Now let's topple it out onto our clean work surface and cut out the donuts. Let's just flatten it down with our fingers. We're going to punch out all that air that is in. We're going to roll this out. And don't put too much of pressure, just be very gentle. And we're going to roll it out just shy of 1/2 inch thick. Rolling it more on the edges because it tends to get thicker on the edges because it pulls back. If you have a donut cutter, go ahead and use a donut cutter, but I'm going to go in with a cookie cutter, and this is 3.5 inches in diameter. And for the center hole, I'm going to use a nozzle and cut out the center. I'm just going to mark it first so that we make sure we get the maximum amount of donuts from the dough. We want to use every bit of it, and now we can get one in the center. So now let's take the cookie cutter and cut it right down. We're going to cut all the bigger circles first, then we'll cut out the center. I'm going to go in with the back of a nozzle, but you could also go in with a 1.5 inch cookie cutter. And now I'm going to eyeball the center. I think we're pretty good. Let's go for it. Need to get that out because that's what you call a donut hole. Now we're going to cut the next one. Now we have to proof the donuts one more time. So we're going to put them onto a parchment paper because then it becomes easier to put them into the hot oil without deflating them. And don't forget to place the donut holes on the paper too. We can get some more donut holes from the ends. These used to be my kids' favorite when they were in school. And now when you know that you cannot get any more donut holes, it's time to put the dough together without too much of pressure. You're just going to smush it together and try to get another donut. And that of course is going to be my treat to eat. We're just going to roll out all these ends that we put together. May not look the prettiest, but it'll taste awesome. There's the center going. We're going to cover these up now with a plastic wrap because we need the donuts to proof for about 30 minutes before we fry them. We want the oil to be about 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. I'm going to put the donut along with the paper into the oil. And now we're going to use a pair of tongs just to take out the paper very carefully. And once I get a nice golden color on one side, you could either go in with chopsticks and turn them over, or you could use a Danish dough hook and flip it over. And now we'll wait till they get golden on the other side. Okay, the donuts are looking good. They're fried well. And you want that little golden circle around. So now let's take them out and put them to drain on a wire rack. I'm going to use the tongs to take off the paper. And now we're going to fry up the donut holes. And these are a real fun treat when you're having a children's party. Sometimes it's a little difficult to turn them over because they keep turning back on the side that's already fried. But we're going to do our best. So we're just going to keep moving them around so that they get fried on all sides. To make the glaze, we're going to go in with 1/8 cup or 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And now we're going to add 2 cups of confectioner sugar or icing sugar. And we're just going to add it gradually and mix it in. Just going to add in some more now. And we'll put in all the rest. And before we mix it up, we're going to go in with 1 tablespoon of pure vanilla extract, a pinch of salt, and we're going to add 3 tablespoons of milk, and we can add more if we want to later. We can adjust the milk depending upon the consistency that we want. Now let's mix this up. This is going to give the donuts a lovely glaze and a beautiful look. I want to thin out this consistency, so I'm going to go in with 2 tablespoons of milk. Let's pop this into the microwave for 30 seconds to get a nice smooth glaze. So we're going to take the donut and we're going to dunk it inside. We're going to use a fork or you could use a chopstick, and we're going to flip it over. Now we're going to lift it up, drain off the excess, and place it on a wire rack. Now let's do the next one. These are going to be so yummalicious. I just love that even glaze that you get on the donuts. Now let's dunk in a few of the donut holes. Just going to give them a mix so that they coat on all sides. Oh my goodness! Look at that! And now it's time to give the donuts a taste. And you know, this is my favorite time. So I'm going to go for this one. Ooh. These are definitely my favorite donuts. They're so soft and they just melt in your mouth. And the glaze, it's just perfect. If you want to enjoy these donuts as much as I do, hop onto my website, platingitwithwendy.com, where you will find the full written recipe. Thanks for watching. See you soon.